The sleek silver spacecraft descended through Earth's atmosphere, causing governments worldwide to panic. Fighter jets scrambled but could do nothing against the vastly superior technology. The alien vessel landed gently on the grounds of the United Nations headquarters in New York, its hull cooling with soft hisses in the morning air. Ambassador Ilara T. Vosh stepped out, her blue-tinted skin shimmering under Earth's sun. She had 4 arms and eyes that seemed to change color depending on the angle of light. 2 security guards flanked her, their postures rigid and ceremonial rather than threatening. Within hours, UN Secretary-General Frank Martinez sat across from the alien diplomat in a hastily arranged meeting room. U.S. diplomat Lisa Carpenter and military advisor John Bennett joined him, both trying to hide their amazement at being part of humanity's first contact with extraterrestrial life. The Galactic Council extends greetings to Earth, Ambassador T. Vosh said, her translator device converting her musical language into English. We come seeking alliance in a time of great need. Frank leaned forward. We are honored by your visit, but confused. Until today, we didn't know other intelligent life existed. Tivosh's upper arms made a gesture like a shrug. We have observed your planet for decades. Your species was deemed too volatile for contact until recently. What changed? Lisa asked. War, Tivosh replied simply. The Varaxian Empire threatens the stability of 3 galactic sectors. Their aggression has pushed the Council to seek new allies. John Bennett frowned. You want soldiers. You're recruiting us for a war. Tivosh's eyes shifted to a deep purple. Humans possess unique qualities. Your adaptability in combat situations is unmatched by any Council species. You learn and improvise at rates that our scientists find difficult to believe. So we're valuable as weapons, John said, his voice hardening. As allies, Tivosh corrected. In exchange, Earth would receive advanced technology, medical knowledge, and protection under Council law. The meetings continued for days. Earth's governments argued among themselves about the risks and benefits. Some nations saw opportunity in the stars, while others feared becoming pawns in an alien conflict. Meanwhile, Navy Commander Eric Miller received orders to report to a classified location. He found himself in an underground facility, facing a panel of generals and scientists. Commander, you've been selected to represent Earth's military in preliminary discussions with the Council, Admiral Patel explained. Your combat experience and diplomatic training make you uniquely qualified. Eric's second-in-command, Lieutenant Olivia Patterson, would join the mission. She specialized in tactical analysis and had a photographic memory, skills that would be essential in understanding alien warfare. We need to know what we're getting into, Eric told Olivia as they prepared for their first meeting aboard the Council's diplomatic vessel. These aliens didn't travel light years just because they admire our fighting spirit. I agree, Olivia replied, checking her tablet. The technology they're offering seems too generous for what they claim to want from us. As they walked through the curved corridors of the alien ship, they passed 2 Council members deep in conversation. The aliens didn't notice the humans, assuming their translator devices were deactivated. The humans will serve perfectly, one said, its tentacles waving in emphasis. Their physical resilience makes them ideal frontline forces. Yes, the other agreed, mandibles clicking. Perfect cannon fodder to absorb the Varaxian initial assault. The Council races can conserve their own military assets. Eric touched Olivia's arm, signaling her to continue walking as if they'd heard nothing. But the words echoed in both their minds. Later, in a secure room at the Pentagon, Eric reported what they'd overheard. They're not looking for allies, he concluded. They want sacrificial pawns. President Harris stared at the window, watching Tivosh's ship gleaming in the distance. We need their technology, he said quietly, but we won't be anyone's cannon fodder. Continue the negotiations, Commander. Learn everything you can, but trust nothing they say. Eric nodded grimly. Humanity's first steps into the galactic community would be cautious ones. The stars offered opportunity and danger in equal measure, and the price of naivety might be extinction. 3 months had passed since the aliens landed on Earth. Now, Commander Eric Miller stood at a viewport on Centauri Station, watching the blue-green curve of a distant planet below. The massive space station served as the Galactic Council's regional headquarters, and humans were still getting used to the scale of alien architecture. Everything felt too large, too bright, designed for beings both bigger and smaller than humans. Still taking it all in, Lieutenant Olivia Patterson asked as she joined him by the window. Eric nodded. Hard to believe we're 20 light-years from Earth. And apparently right in the middle of someone else's war, Olivia added quietly. The human contingent was small, just 30 military personnel and 15 diplomats, including the newly appointed Ambassador Keith Harrison. They had come to learn about the Council and the war with the Voraxians, not to commit Earth to the conflict. At least, that was the official position. Daniel Wright, their diplomatic officer, hurried toward them through the curved hallway. "The Council representatives are ready for our meeting," he said, slightly out of breath. "All 5 major species will be present." They followed Daniel to a chamber with a high ceiling and a circular table. 5 different alien species sat waiting. The blue-skinned Tivosh represented the Alari, the most human-like of the Council races. Beside her sat a massive bear-like Drovek, a slender insectoid Arthaxian, a crystalline Philos that seemed to shimmer with inner light, and a floating, jellyfish-like Medusan. "Welcome, Earth representatives," said Council Chair Genta, the Philos delegate. Its voice chimed like crystal bells. "We are pleased to continue our cultural exchange." The meeting began with formal introductions, but soon shifted to discussions of the Voraxian threat. The Council species described the Voraxians as aggressive expansionists, brutal conquerors who refused all diplomatic solutions. "We have observed your military history with great interest," said Krell, the Arthaxian, its mandibles clicking softly. "Humans have remarkable pain tolerance and recovery rates." Eric noticed how the aliens' compound eyes lingered on the humans, as if studying specimens. He exchanged a glance with Olivia, who had noticed it too. Ambassador Harrison steered the conversation toward technology exchange, but the Council seemed more interested in human physiology and warfare tactics. As they left the meeting, an alarm blared through the station. Red lights pulsed along the corridors. "What's happening?" Eric asked a passing Alari officer. "Voraxian attack in the Proxima system," the alien replied. "Council forces are mobilizing." Within hours, the situation had changed dramatically. The human contingent was summoned to an emergency council session. Ambassador Harrison sat with Eric and Olivia flanking him as Chair Gente addressed the gathering. "The Voraxian fleet has broken through our defensive line. All Allied forces must contribute to the response," Gente announced. "Earth forces will be deployed immediately." Harrison stood up. "That goes beyond our agreement. We're here in an advisory capacity only. Earth has not committed to combat operations. Wartime protocols override preliminary agreements," Gente said, its crystalline body flashing with colors that suggested impatience. "All Council allies must participate in defense." "We're not allies yet," Harrison pointed out. "We're still in negotiations." General Dravnek, the Drovek military commander, growled. "You accepted Council technology. Now you must fulfill your obligation." Eric leaned close to Harrison. "They planned this. The attack gives them an excuse to draft us." Harrison nodded slightly, then addressed the Council again. "We will assist in defensive operations only and under human command." Later, in their private quarters, Eric reviewed their situation with Olivia and Daniel. "They've assigned us to the most exposed positions," Olivia said, studying the tactical display. "Human units are being deployed as buffers between Voraxian forces and valuable Council assets." "Cannon fodder," Eric said, remembering the conversation they'd overheard months ago. "They're using us as shields." Daniel looked worried. "Can we withdraw?" Eric shook his head. "Not without abandoning the station. We're trapped here until Earth can send a proper fleet, which could take months given the technology we currently have. So we fight, Olivia concluded. We fight, Eric agreed. But we do it our way, not theirs. And we remember who forced us into this war. Outside their window, warships gathered like storm clouds, preparing for battle. Earth had entered the galactic stage, not as explorers or diplomats, but as reluctant warriors in someone else's conflict. The battle at Proxima Station began with a flash of light as Voraxian ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Their vessels looked like dark spiders, with long legs extending from central bodies. Red energy weapons fired from each leg, striking the outer defenses of the station. All ships, defensive formation, Commander Eric Miller ordered from the bridge of the Earth vessel Defiant. Earth had sent 5 military ships, hastily fitted with alien technology. They weren't much compared to Council warships, but they were all humanity had in this fight. They've positioned us directly in the path of the largest Voraxian battleship, Lieutenant Olivia Patterson said, studying the tactical display. Council ships are behind us, using us as shields. Eric nodded grimly. Just as we expected. Signal the other Earth ships to follow my lead. Instead of holding position as ordered by Council command, Eric split the human fleet into 2 groups. They moved in a pattern the aliens had never seen, confusing both allies and enemies. What are the humans doing? Demanded General Dravnek over the comm. Return to assigned positions. Eric ignored the order. Fire countermeasures, Pattern Baker. The Earth ships released clouds of metallic particles that disrupted Voraxian targeting systems. Then they struck from unexpected angles, hitting the enemy's weak spots. On the station, Chief Engineer Mary Collins worked frantically to reinforce the defenses. The Council engineers had abandoned the lower levels, considering them lost to the Voraxian boarding parties. They've given up on levels 30 through 42, Mary told her team. But we're not giving up. Using station parts and equipment, Mary built makeshift weapons and traps. When the Voraxians broke through the outer doors, they found the corridors filled with surprises. Electrical fields shocked their soldiers. Improvised explosives damaged their suits. Simple pit traps captured their scouts. The humans are fighting in the abandoned sectors, reported a shocked Arthaxian officer to Council command. They're holding the Voraxians back with station parts. Security Officer Alan Parker led the ground defense. His team studied Voraxian movements and quickly found patterns. They always attack in groups of 3. Alan told his soldiers. They protect their middle fighter. Take that one out first, and the others get confused. This simple observation turned the tide on the ground. Human soldiers targeted the middle Voraxian in each group, breaking enemy formations. The Council forces watched in surprise as the supposedly primitive humans adapted faster than any species they had seen before. In the medical bay, Dr. Susan Grant treated wounded from all species. She noticed something strange about the Voraxian prisoners. They're sensitive to our lights, she realized, seeing how they flinched from the station's standard illumination. Their eyes evolved in darker environments. Susan adjusted the medical bay lights to a reddish glow. The Voraxian patients immediately became calmer. One of them, an officer named Krevtar, spoke to her. "Why do you help us?" he asked in a raspy voice. "We are enemies." "I'm a doctor," Susan replied simply. "I help anyone who needs it." Krevtar studied her with 4 yellow eyes. "The Council told us humans are violent savages. This does not seem true." As the battle continued, the human ships captured a damaged Voraxian vessel. Engineers swarmed over it, learning its systems with remarkable speed. Within hours, they had adapted some of its technology to Earth ships, improving their weapons and shields. When the fighting finally ended, the station was secure. The Voraxian fleet retreated, but not before Eric's tactics had saved 3 Council ships from destruction. General Dravnek called a meeting of all commanding officers. His furry face showed no gratitude, only suspicion. "Human forces disobeyed direct orders," he growled. "This is unacceptable. My orders were to defend the station," Eric replied calmly. "We did that. You use council technology in unauthorized ways." Dravnek continued. "All modified equipment must be surrendered for study." "No," Eric said simply. The room went silent. No species ever refused a council general's order. "What did you say?" Dravnek asked, his voice dangerously low. "I said no," Eric repeated. "The modifications were made by humans, using human ingenuity. They belong to Earth." The standoff had begun. Humans were no longer just soldiers in someone else's war. They had become players in a dangerous game of galactic politics. 6 months into the war, Earth had sent more ships and soldiers to help the Galactic Council. Humans were proving their worth in battle, but Commander Eric Miller had growing doubts about who they were really fighting for. In a small, secure room on Centauri Station, Peter Johnson worked alone. Peter was an analyst, skilled at finding patterns in data. For weeks, he had been studying council communications, learning their codes and secrets. "I found something," he told Commander Miller when they met in private. "The council has been lying to us." Peter showed Eric a translated message he had decoded. The Varaxians weren't the aggressors. They left the council peacefully after centuries of unfair treatment. The council attacked them first to take their resources. Eric read the message twice. "Are you certain this translation is correct?" "Yes," Peter said. "And there's more. We aren't the first species they've tricked into fighting for them. There was another race called the Kalderathi. The council used them as soldiers until they were nearly wiped out." This information changed everything. Eric called an urgent meeting with Ambassador Keith Harrison and his senior staff. "We need to confront the council with this evidence," Harrison said after hearing Peter's discovery. "They've manipulated us into a war under false pretenses." The next day, Harrison demanded an emergency council session. The 5 alien leaders seemed annoyed by the interruption. "The council acknowledges Earth's representative," Chair Genta said, its crystal body glowing dimly. Harrison stood tall before them. "We have discovered troubling information about the true nature of this conflict. Evidence suggests the Varaxians are not unprovoked aggressors, but victims of council exploitation." The chamber went silent. Then Genta spoke, its voice colder than usual. "Human understanding of galactic politics is limited. These matters have historical complexities beyond your grasp. Did you deliberately recruit us to fight a war against people who simply wanted independence from your control?" Harrison demanded. "Your role is to assist council defense, not question council policy." General Dravnek growled. "Return to your duties, Ambassador." The meeting ended without answers, but the humans' suspicions were confirmed by the council's reaction. Meanwhile, Commander Miller had been talking to a captured Varaxian officer. The alien prisoner, Krevtar, had been under Dr. Susan Grant's care since the battle. "My people never wanted war," Krevtar explained, sitting across from Eric in a secure room. "For generations, the council took our resources, claiming it was for the good of all. When we finally declared independence, they labeled us rebels and attackers." "Why didn't you tell us this sooner?" Eric asked. "Would you have believed an enemy prisoner over your allies?" Krevtar replied. "Besides, we tried to contact Earth directly after you entered the conflict, but the council blocked all our messages." Communications specialist Nicole Adams confirmed parts of Krevtar's story by analyzing transmission records. "There were signals aimed at Earth that the council systems intercepted," she reported. "They never told us about them." The situation grew tense as humans began questioning orders and sharing information among themselves. The council noticed this change and became worried. One night, without warning, several council ships surrounded the Earth vessels in orbit around Centauri Station. "They're trying to take control of our ships," reported Colonel Samantha Lewis from the Earth vessel Intrepid. "They claim it's a routine security measure, but they've armed their weapons." Eric knew they had to act quickly. "Colonel Lewis, initiate Operation Breakaway. Get our ships to safe distance without firing on council vessels." Colonel Lewis executed a brilliant maneuver. The Earth ships activated their engines simultaneously, creating a disruption field that confused Council targeting systems. Then they slipped away to prearranged coordinates. "We've secured the fleet, Commander," Lewis reported. "No casualties on either side." Eric nodded grimly. "Good work, Colonel. Now we need to get a message to Earth. It's time our people learned who they're really fighting for." The Council had made a critical mistake. They had warned others not to involve humans in their wars. Now they were about to learn why. Earth leaders gathered in an emergency meeting after receiving Commander Miller's report. The video evidence showed clearly how the Council had manipulated humans into fighting their war under false pretenses. President Julia Rodriguez faced the United Nations Assembly. Her expression was grave as she addressed representatives from every nation. "Today we learned the truth about our so-called allies," she said. "The Galactic Council lied to us. They portrayed the Voraxians as aggressors when they were simply a people fighting for their freedom from exploitation." Screens around the hall showed the evidence: decoded Council messages, testimony from the Voraxian prisoner Krevtar, and reports from Earth's officers in space. "Effective immediately. I am implementing protocol independence," President Rodriguez announced. "All Earth forces are ordered to cease hostilities against the Voraxians. We will no longer be pawns in the Council's war of oppression." The response from the Galactic Council was swift. Within hours, Council ships formed a blockade around Earth's solar system. Ambassador Tivash delivered their message to the United Nations. "Earth has violated its service agreement with the Council," she stated, her blue skin flushed darker with anger. "Your forces must return to assigned duties, or Earth will face consequences." "We never signed a service agreement," President Rodriguez replied calmly. "You came to us under false pretenses. That agreement is void." "Then Earth is now considered hostile to Council interests," Tivash said before leaving. At Centauri Station, the situation had become dangerous for humans. Ambassador Harrison knew he needed to leave, but Council guards watched all transportation hubs. Surprisingly, help came from an unexpected source. "Ambassador, you must come with me now," said Thrall, an Arthaxian scientist. "There is a plan to eliminate Earth's leadership here." "Why are you helping me?" Harrison asked as they hurried through maintenance tunnels. "Not all Council members support this deception," Thrall explained, mandibles clicking nervously. "Some of us believe the treatment of the Voraxians was wrong. Now the Council makes the same mistake with humans." Thrall led Harrison to a small transport ship. "This will take you to your fleet. Tell your people the truth about our leaders." In space, Commander Miller received orders to break through the blockade around Earth. He gathered his officers on the bridge of the Defiant. "The Council has surrounded our home," he told them. "We need to create a path for our messenger ships to reach Earth with the full evidence of Council deception." Lieutenant Patterson pointed to the tactical display. "Their ships are faster, but we understand their sensor technology better than they realize." "Ryan, what options do we have?" Eric asked his weapons specialist. Ryan Cooper had been studying Council and Voraxian technology for months. "I've modified our deflector shields to emit false signatures. We can make 5 ships look like 50. The plan worked perfectly. When the Earth fleet approached the blockade, they activated Cooper's modifications. The Council ships detected what appeared to be a massive human armada and scattered in confusion. In the chaos, 3 small, fast messenger ships slipped through to Earth. During the operation, Eric's ships encountered a Council vessel transporting Voraxian prisoners. They liberated the ship, freeing dozens of Voraxians, including several high-ranking officers. "You saved us," said a Voraxian commander named Vask. "Why would you help your enemies?" "We know the truth now," Eric replied. "The Council lied to us, just as they lied about you." For the first time, humans and Voraxians began formal diplomatic talks, away from Council manipulation. On Earth, engineers led by Dr. William Barnes worked day and night to understand and improve upon Council technology. They focused on defensive systems, knowing that the Council would not let humans leave their war easily. They gave us enough technology to fight their battles, Dr. Barnes told his team. Now we'll use it to protect our planet. Ambassador de Vauche returned to Earth one more time, bringing both threats and offers from the Council. This conflict can end peacefully, she said. Simply return your forces to Council command. President Rodriguez stood firm. We will defend ourselves if attacked, but we will not fight your unjust war. De Vauche's eyes narrowed. You do not understand what you face, humans. No, Rodriguez replied. It is the Council that doesn't understand what they face. 8 months after first contact, humans had changed from pawns to players in the galactic conflict. Earth ships now moved freely through space, avoiding Council patrols, and helping Varaxian colonies that suffered under Council blockades. On the neutral moon of Kydraxis, a secret meeting was about to take place. Commander Eric Miller watched as the Varaxian ship landed on the dusty surface. Its black hull reflected the stars above. Are you sure this is safe? Lieutenant Olivia Patterson asked, standing beside him in the small outpost. No, Eric admitted, but it's necessary. The Varaxian leader, Supreme Commander Zexcan, stepped from his ship with 4 guards. He was taller than the other Varaxians they had met, with deep red markings on his gray skin. His 4 yellow eyes scanned the humans carefully. You requested this meeting, Zexcan said, his translator giving his words a metallic edge. Speak your purpose. Lieutenant Patterson stepped forward. Earth leaders had chosen her as their main diplomat because of her remarkable ability to understand alien perspectives. Supreme Commander, we propose an alliance against the Galactic Council, she said clearly. Not for conquest, but for freedom. Both our peoples have been manipulated and exploited. Zexcan's eyes narrowed. Why should we trust humans? You fought against us. We fought because we were lied to. Olivia replied. Once we learned the truth, we stopped. Now we want to help end this conflict fairly. The discussions lasted for hours. Olivia showed remarkable skill in finding common ground between human and Varaxian interests. By the end, a tentative agreement had been reached. Our peoples will share intelligence and coordinate defensive actions, Zexcan concluded. But this is not yet a formal alliance. You must prove your commitment. Admiral Linda Martinez, who commanded Earth's growing space fleet, worked with Varaxian tacticians to create a joint defensive strategy. The Varaxians were impressed by human adaptability and creative thinking. Your species thinks differently than Council races, a Varaxian officer told Admiral Martinez. You see possibilities where they see only established patterns. Meanwhile, Commander Miller led a small team on a dangerous mission. Using stealth technology developed by combining human and Varaxian designs, they infiltrated a Council research facility. We need to find out if there were others before us, Eric told his team as they hacked into the facility's data systems. Information specialist Gregory Walsh downloaded massive amounts of data while the team kept watch. What they found shocked even the most cynical among them. 17 species, Gregory reported, his face pale as he reviewed the files. The Council has done this 17 times before. They find species with combat abilities, trick them into fighting their wars, then either let them die out or force them into permanent servitude. The evidence was clear. Records showed how the Council had manipulated species after species, using them as weapons and discarding them when they were no longer useful. We need to share this with everyone, Eric decided. Not just Earth and the Varaxians, but every civilization in Council space. Gregory nodded. I can transmit this data through the Council's own communication network. They won't be able to stop it spreading. The information reached hundreds of worlds simultaneously. Species that had been subjugated for centuries learned the truth about their protectors. Rebellions sparked across Council territory as long-oppressed peoples rose up. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. For the first time in its history, the Council was facing a serious threat to its authority. The humans must be contained, declared General Dravnek, pounding his massive fist on the table. They spread chaos throughout our domains. But several moderate council members, led by Threll the Arthaxian, argued for reform. "We have ruled through deception for too long," Threll said. "Perhaps it is time to acknowledge our mistakes and change our ways." "Compromise with lesser species," Dravnek growled. "Never. We must crush this rebellion before it spreads further." The council was dividing, with hardliners calling for war while moderates sought peace. As the debate raged, human and Voraxian forces prepared for the council's response. "They will attack Earth next," Zexcan warned in a secure transmission to Earth leadership. "They fear your influence more than any species they have encountered before." President Rodriguez addressed her military commanders. "Then we must be ready, not just to defend ourselves, but to end this cycle of exploitation forever." The council hardliners won the debate. A massive fleet gathered near the edge of Earth's solar system. Over 300 warships prepared to attack, led by General Dravnek himself. Their mission was clear: crush the humans and make an example of them for other rebellious species. "All ships report ready, General," said a fearless officer, its crystalline body glowing with battle lights. "The human homeworld will be surrounded within 6 hours." "Good," Dravnek growled. "The humans have caused enough trouble. It's time to show the galaxy what happens to those who challenge council authority." But Earth had been preparing too. Captain Kelly Rodriguez, daughter of Earth's president, commanded a small fleet of 20 ships that seemed hopelessly outnumbered. Her vessels waited at the edge of the solar system, directly in the path of the oncoming council armada. "They spotted us," reported her sensor officer. "Council ships are moving to attack formation." Kelly nodded calmly. "All ships, activate the disruptors." Dr. Joseph Kim, a brilliant physicist, had developed a new technology by studying both council and Voraxian science. The propulsion disruptor didn't damage enemy ships, but prevented them from moving or firing weapons. It had never been tested on such a large scale. Blue waves of energy spread from the Earth ships, washing over the council fleet. One by one, the massive alien warships drifted to a stop, their engines shut down by the invisible force. "What is happening?" General Dravnek demanded as his flagship lost power. "Why can't we move?" No council race had ever developed such technology. They had always focused on bigger weapons and stronger shields, never thinking to disable an enemy's ability to maneuver. "Send the message," Kelly ordered once the entire council fleet was immobilized. The face of Ambassador Keith Harrison appeared on every screen throughout the council fleet. "This demonstration was bloodless. By our choice. We could have destroyed your ships, but humans prefer peace to war. We offer you the chance to return home safely if you agree to leave Earth alone." While this confrontation happened near Earth, another human-led operation was underway across the galaxy. Colonel Samantha Lewis coordinated with Voraxian forces to free 3 worlds that had been under harsh council control for centuries. On the planet Delvera, natives cheered as combined human and Voraxian ships drove away council overseers. The Delverans, a gentle species with blue feathers and 4 arms, had been used as forced labor for generations. "We form a free systems alliance today," Colonel Lewis announced to representatives from the liberated worlds. "Together we stand against exploitation and for mutual respect among all species." News of these events reached the Galactic Council chamber, where Threll and other moderate members seized the moment. "Our military has been neutralized without a single casualty," Threll told the stunned council. "The humans could have destroyed our ships but chose mercy instead. This is our chance to reform rather than continue a war we cannot win." Ambassador Harrison addressed the full Galactic Council one last time. His message was broadcast to all council worlds. "Humanity did not begin this conflict," he said firmly, "but we are fully capable of ending it. Cease all hostilities against Earth and reform your exploitative practices, or witness the full extent of human determination." To demonstrate Earth's resolve, Tactical Officer Ben Wilson activated their newest defense system. The entire human fleet vanished from all sensors for 10 seconds, then reappeared surrounding key Council defense stations. They could have fired and destroyed vital Council infrastructure, but again, no weapons were discharged. The solar shield technology left Council military experts in shock. They had never seen anything like it. "It's a bluff," General Dravnik insisted from his still-disabled flagship. "Continue the attack as soon as systems are restored." But many Council leaders had seen enough. The moderate faction, led by Threll, took action. Council security forces loyal to the moderates arrested Dravnik and the other hardliners. The War Council was dissolved, and emergency negotiations with Earth began. "The humans were never the savages we claimed they were," Thrall told the Reformed Council. "It is we who acted like barbarians, using others to fight our battles, and exploiting those weaker than ourselves." For the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Council faced the possibility of real change. The species they had intended to use as cannon fodder had instead become the catalyst for a new galactic order. 1 year after the Galactic Council first came to Earth, the galaxy looked very different. The old Council chamber on Centauri Station had been rebuilt. The high walls that once separated Council leaders from other species were gone, replaced by an open circle where all representatives sat as equals. Threll, the Arthaxian who had helped turn the tide, now served as interim chair of the Reformed Council. Under his leadership, the Council had begun the difficult process of acknowledging its past wrongs and making amends to exploited worlds. "The path to true reform will be long," Thrall told the gathered representatives. "But it begins with honesty about our history and responsibility for our actions." Earth had become the headquarters of the Free Systems Alliance, a new organization that now included 27 worlds. Ambassador Keith Harrison had been elected as its first coordinator, working to create a different model of galactic cooperation based on mutual respect rather than domination. "We do not seek to replace one empire with another," Harrison told the Alliance members at their first formal meeting. "Each world maintains its independence while contributing to our shared security and prosperity." Eric Miller, now promoted to Admiral, supervised the training of a multi-species peacekeeping force. In the large hangar of Earth's orbital station, crews from a dozen different worlds learned to work together. "Unity doesn't mean erasing our differences," Eric told a group of new recruits, including humans, Varaxians, and even some former Council species. "It means finding strength in them. Each of you brings unique abilities and perspectives to our mission." Olivia Patterson, now commander of the Diplomatic Corps, had developed new protocols for resolving conflicts between different species. Her methods emphasized understanding cultural differences before attempting negotiations. The old Council tried to force all species into the same mold. She explained to her team of diplomats, "We recognize that diversity is not just to be tolerated, but valued." The Varaxians, once portrayed as vicious enemies, had become Earth's strongest allies. Their territories, restored after centuries of Council exploitation, formed a protective buffer zone between Earth and potential threats. On a beautiful spring day in Washington, D.C., President Julia Rodriguez addressed representatives from over 200 worlds who had gathered for a historic summit. Behind her stood the leaders of both the Reformed Council and the Free Systems Alliance. "A year ago, humanity did not know we were not alone in the universe," she began. "Today, we stand at the center of a new era in galactic history, not because we conquered or dominated, but because we refuse to accept that power gives the right to exploit others." She looked at the diverse gathering of species before continuing. "We come as friends to those who seek friendship, as partners to those who value equality, and as formidable adversaries to those who would threaten peace. The stars have room for all of us, but they have no place for exploitation or subjugation." Later that evening, Admiral Miller found himself sharing a quiet moment with Supreme Commander Zexcan of the Varaxians. They stood on the balcony of the White House, looking up at the stars. "Your Ambassador Tivosh was right about one thing," Zexcan remarked, his 4 yellow eyes reflecting the starlight. Humans are indeed unique in warfare. How so? Eric asked. Not because you are especially violent, the Varaxian replied, but because you fight hardest for peace. The Council was warned not to involve humans in their wars. Now they understand why. The next day, a new plaque was installed in the reformed Council chambers on Centauri Station. It was written in the languages of all known spacefaring species, a reminder of lessons learned at great cost. The message was simple. Seek allies through honesty, not manipulation. And should conflict come, remember the humans. Back on Earth, children played in parks under open skies, unaware of how close their world had come to destruction. Teachers in schools now included lessons about alien cultures alongside Earth history. Scientists worked with colleagues from distant worlds, sharing knowledge that would benefit all. Humanity had taken its place among the stars not as conquerors or victims, but as architects of a more just galactic community. The species that the Council had intended to use as cannon fodder had instead become the foundation for a new beginning.